Hello everyone, today is a special day because that's the day we're going to start a new series here in the channel where I'm going to show you how to convert shader toy shaders, okay, that you can find here at the shader toy website. For those who don't know, shader toy is a website where you can find many different shaders written in GLSL language, okay, for shaders. So that's the main page of shader toy. You can search using keywords here for some shader you're looking for, or you can tap here on browse, okay, and you can see the most popular ones, the ones that are hot right now. This is the most popular ones. They're really cool. And guess what? We can get all the shader that are already done here, built here by the community, and you can put these shaders inside the sparkar and create a filter using these shaders. How nice is that? And as you can see here, we have amazing shaders. Let me search for example, this one here. We're gonna actually convert this one to SparkSL, okay? Because I already did this, but I forgot how I did this. That's why I decided to create this playlist, because I convert many of these shader toy shaders to SparkSL before, but because I stopped doing that, after 1 year or 2 years, I forgot how I did it. So I decided to create these tutorials so in the future I can remember how I did it, and you as well. So in the next tutorials, I'm going to show you how you can convert this shader toy to SparkSL and use it in one filter. Okay, this one is really nice. But today I want to try with you this one, because I never converted this one to SparkSL. And before I started, I'm gonna recommend 2 links. First one is this GitHub repository, okay, that helped me a lot in understanding the difference between GLSL and SparkSL shaders, okay? So I'm gonna put in the description here, and I don't know who is the author of this repository on GitHub, but I'm very thankful to you if you are watching this, someday you watch this. I want you to know that I'm very thankful for this repository, okay? It helped me a lot. And also there are some YouTube channels that I would like to recommend. The first one is this one, Brunirows code. If you know Spanish, you can follow this playlist here, where he teaches the basics of SparkSL. So it is very nice to start understanding how the shaders work. I even left a comment here on his playlist, thanking him for these amazing, great tutorials that's gonna teach you the basics of shading on a sparkar. Okay, it's a very nice playlist. And the other channel I'd like to recommend is this one here, named The Art of Code. This one is for more advanced users, okay, because he makes some really cool effects here, but you need to have a little bit of understanding already. But they're both great channels if you want to learn about shading. And this one, he teaches you how to code here inside shader toy, not inside sparkar. But now let's go back here to our heart fireworks. And are we ready to convert our first shader toy code into SparkSL? Okay, I hope you can do this. And if I'm posting this, it's because I couldn't make it, right? So let's go. So our first step is gonna be to create here one new file on our sparkar. I already saved mine, so I recommend you to save yours, okay? Let's create here a rectangle so we can test our shader. Rectangle. Yeah. Let's increase this width, this height. Create a new material. Let's go here to the new material you created and change the shader type to flat. And let's click here in this little arrow to bring our texture input to the patch editor. Okay. Okay, let's create our shader. So click here and click on shader code asset. Okay, you create our shader and double click to edit. So before I delete this code here, I'm gonna just save it to show you how we can connect this shader to our material here. So this is the default shader sparkar brings. Okay, that's just this star here with the number of arms that can be configured here. The arm count you can increase 6, 7. So as you can see, we have inputs and outputs in our shader. And another way to use the shader is, instead of choosing the material here as flat, we can directly choose here the shader asset and pick our shader, the one we created. But I prefer to use this way here because we can see better the inputs and the outputs. So let's do this again and connect here. And now let's delete this default code. Let's delete everything. And let's copy and paste all this code to our code editor. And after I save it, I'm gonna press here Ctrl S to save it. And I know many errors gonna show up here in our filter. Okay, I saved, and as you can see, we have many errors. And let's try to fix them one by one. Okay, the first one is saying that this eye resolution doesn't exist. It's because this variable doesn't exist here on SparkSL. And in this GitHub repository, here in the bottom, you can see that some functions and some variables we have on shader toy can be replaced by these other functions or variables here on SparkSL. And the eye resolution is one of them. It's gonna be replaced by this get render target size. So that's why it's important that you save this link. And every time you forget which variable or function you need to replace in your code, you can come here and check again and just copy and paste there in our code. And before this function here, the get render target size function, you can see there is this std here. We can copy this as well, like this, and use it in our program, our code here, and replace it here, for example, like this. But I prefer to use the other notation, that is to type here at the beginning of your code. Okay, you're gonna type using namespace std. That's the name of the namespace, std. I think it stands for standard library, something like this. And it's inside this namespace that we have this function here, the get render target size function. Okay, so we can delete this, and we're never gonna need to type it again. Okay, so we can replace this eye resolution variable here in our code by this function. But instead, let's just create our own eye resolution. That's gonna be a vec2, and it's gonna be equals our function here, the get render target size. This function returns the size of the screen. Okay, so let's go back here to our filter and see. Okay, another function that we don't have here on SparkSL, but we have there on shader toy, is this iTime. Okay, and as I showed before, here in this GitHub, we can see that iTime can be replaced by getTime function. Okay, and because you use that using namespace std at the top of our code, we don't need to copy this std anymore. So let's just replace the iTime by getTime. To search for any word here in your code, just press Ctrl F, and let's search for iTime and see if it uses iTime in another place. So no results. So it only uses there. So it only needs to replace the iTime here, right? Okay, let's see what else. Okay, this error here says that all parameters in your function, all the input parameters needs to be before the output. Okay, so in this case, this input parameter here, it has an in front of it, should be before the output parameter, that is this one here. But because we won't use this variable here, we're gonna delete and leave only the out. It's gonna be the output of our main function. Okay, this frag color, that's gonna be the color of our shader. You can see here at the bottom that frag color receives these values here. So another thing we need to change is the UV. The way we receive the UV here on SparkSL is different from the way we receive there inside shader toy. Okay, so I'm gonna comment this line And let's create the UV here inside SparkSL. The 2UV, it's gonna be equals fragment because we're using the fragment shader. Okay, so the calculation is gonna happen in each pixel of our image fragment, and we're gonna call the following function, that is get vertex text chord, this one here, inside our fragment. So that's our UV. We can check how it looks if we can put it here as our output. So just for a while to show how the UV looks like, I'm gonna comment this line, and frag color gonna be equals spec for uv.x, uv.y, 0 and 1.0. That's the alpha. Okay, so let's press Ctrl S. So it's showing another error here. So this high resolution was used in somewhere else. Okay, let's see. Okay, this high resolution was used inside this particle function. So let's replace it by get render target size. Okay, don't forget to open and close the parentheses. Let me see where else. I think that's it. And the other error is the smooth step. Smooth step, what's happening there? Oh, it was the same thing. I think we already fixed it. Okay. Okay, the compilation finished successfully. Let's see. Let's connect it here. Okay. So that's our UV. You can see the coordinates 0, 0 are here. That's why it's black. And we have to compare with the UVs there on Shader Toy. So let me get the UV here as well. Because sometimes it is inverted, sometimes it is shifted. And you have to make these adjustments there as well in order to make the code to work there. So let's get here the UV. UV.x, UV.y, and 0. Let's play. And as I imagined, the UV is shifted and it is upside down, like it's inverted compared to here inside sparkar. So you have to make these adjustments. I'm gonna leave it like this, like widescreen, so you can compare it better to this one. So to fix this, gonna have to invert UV in the y direction and also shift it 0.5 in the y direction and in the x direction as well. So let's first shift it here. 0.5 UV minus equals 0.5. And also to avoid the UV of being squished when we change the size of the screen, let's multiply our UV in the x direction by this aspect ratio here. Okay, so let's multiply it by the aspect. So the size of the UV in the x direction is going to depend on the size, on the ratio between the x and the y axis. Okay, save, let's check. Okay, fixed. And now let's invert the UV in the y direction. So let's just multiply it by -1. -1 dot 0. Let's save and see. Okay, perfect. I think we're done here. It's a little bit different. Let me check something here. Let me just shift it before we multiply by the aspect ratio to see if it changed something here. Yeah. Okay, so you have to shift it before. Okay. And then multiply the x direction by the aspect ratio and the y direction by -1. So we have the same UV as we have here on shader toy. So now let me comment the last line and let's bring back our original frag color. Ctrl S to save. And I think we have it. Yeah, we have our fireworks here. Let me see in other devices. And we know it's working, but maybe we would like to get like smaller hearts, right? Because I think maybe those hearts are too big and most of them are out of the screen, right? Let me resize here. Let's see how we can fix this. Maybe if we change the aspect here, instead of the X direction by the Y direction, let's switch this and see if it works. So let me comment here. And let's switch this Y, this X by Y, and this Y by 1X. Let's save and see. Okay. Oh, and here we have to change this X, replace it, and replace it by one Y here too. Yeah, now we have smaller hearts. Yeah, I think now it's better because now the Y direction is going to depend on the width of our screen. And also because most of fonts are in this mode, right? In this vertical mode. I think it's better we leave it like this. Yeah. Now the problem is when we have the widescreen. So if you're going to use your filter on widescreen, it's better to leave it the other way. Okay. So you can make one if statement there and check if your X is wider than your Y. Then we're going to change the aspect ratio of the X direction of your V. Okay. But because I intend to use on fonts, I'm gonna leave it like this. Okay. And now we have our hearts, our firework are hearts. And we can play a little with the material. Let me change it here to screen. And now look how nice this is. It's amazing. We have our fireworks on top of the screen. Yeah, I really like this shader. I think I'm gonna use it maybe for some New Year's Eve filter, maybe. Valentine's Day, I don't know. And that's it, guys. I think because this one is our first tutorial on this topic, I took a little longer in this video because I had to explain some things in a little more detail. But I think the next tutorial is going to be faster because I already explained about those variables. I already showed you that repository. Okay. So I'm not going to show you this in the next tutorials. And what we're going to do is it's going to be just replace what need to be changed here in the code. Okay. And get our shader working inside SparkAR. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. If you want me to talk more about this topic, about shaders, and maybe I can make more videos converting shader toy to SparkSL. So please give a like, comment in the video, and subscribe to the channel, okay? See you in next tutorial. Bye.